What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your first preview for NXT for 2022. It is the preview for NXT 2.0 New Year's Evil 2022. For those of you that are watching on Rumble or YouTube, I hope you'll excuse me that it's just an audio. Not feeling super great today. I kind of look like shit. I kind of sound like shit, if you can't tell. Hopefully one of these days I'm going to come up and start a video or a pod with "Sorry I sound like shit" and "Sorry my sinuses are kicking me in the ass." But full disclosure, you guys are getting this a week later than I'm recording it. I'm literally recording this right after the December 28th episode of NXT went off the air, because over the actual New Year's weekend, I hope to actually be doing something. And is that a comment on the current status of where I live in the world right now and the ongoing global bastard? I'll leave it up to your own powers of deduction. But I am recording this on the 28th. If anything that has happened that has changed the card, that's why. If anything has happened as far as the rumored COVID outbreak within WWE, then obviously I don't know that, and I couldn't just randomly stick it in after the fact. I don't have the whole time travel thing. But yeah, long story short, if you're listening to this, you're listening to something I recorded a week ago. What do I say about NXT 2.0 New Year's Evil 2022? It is literally everything in wrestling. Everything. And yes, I'm going to talk about day one. By the time you get this, day one will have already happened, so you know that. But I'll be doing this, I'll be doing day one, I'll be doing Hard to Kill, I'll be talking at some point about New Year's Smash, because even though we're in the future now and I'm talking about the past, at New Year's Smash, on the day of New Year's Smash, I was at a WWE house show, so by the time I come to talk to you guys again, maybe I'll tell you how the house show was, even if it wasn't cancelled at the last minute. Wouldn't that just suck? But it does bring me to the point that is literally true. WWE, NXT, AEW, Impact, all the shows have gaping holes in them right now. All of them. For all the highs that shows specifically like AEW have, there are still the low of lows. Let's just look at what happened on Rampage, because Cody Rhodes decided to suck his own cock for Christmas. The shows all have holes, but all the companies across the board are delivering on the pay-per-views. Now, there could be some silly stuff that's not for you. There could be some match types that are not for you. But overall, especially in the past little while, the whole, hey, the weekly shows are shit, but at least the pay-per-views deliver, is good. Because across all the companies, across Impact, NXT, WWE, AEW, the constant is they've all got fucking fantastic wrestlers. So there's a whole lot of stuff on this card that doesn't make any sense. There's a whole lot of stuff on this card that dictates sort of where NXT 2.0 is going, sort of confirms some things that we already know, the changing of the guard that I've been saying for a long time. But let's talk about it. And I want to talk about, first off, the one match, and those of you that listen to myself and Jake would know, we always start off the preview for the show with what's not on the show, technically. Because technically, as we speak, as I'm talking to you right now into a microphone, the match between Grayson Waller and AJ Styles isn't a match, it's a confrontation, and you can't see me, but I'm doing the tightest air quotes possible. But it's gonna be a match. It's either they're gonna fight at New Year's Evil, or they're gonna do the crossover the other way, and they're gonna have an exhibition at Royal Rumble, which would be weird because day one is happening first. So as I say, as you guys are listening to me right now, day one has already happened, but like if they did do something like Grayson Waller fucks up AJ Styles versus Omos, and then it carries over into this show that we're talking about tonight, or it carries over into AJ Styles sort of doing the big time thing and saying, hey, why don't you step up into the bright lights of superstardom, and how about you fight me at the Royal Rumble? And then at the very last minute, Vince McMahon snaps his fingers and it's on the kickoff, because that's how that shit goes. The match, when it does happen, though, I'm really interested, because Grayson Waller's really different in the ring. I like his character. They're trying to make him that one heel that even the other heels hate. They did that whole stuff a while ago where they sort of treated him like The Miz. You know, you've done something so despicable that you have to change in the hallway, and even the commentators don't like you. It's like Tony Schiavone when he tryhards, and MJF's a son of a bitch, and all that type of thing. So they're trying to do they're trying to do the, like, here's the heels, here's the faces, and here's Grayson Waller under, like 6 feet under as far as character goes. But he is an interesting character in the ring, and he just finished having a pretty decent match against Odyssey Jones here. The crossover with him and AJ Styles starting with a beef on Twitter was a little bit, hey, we need something for NXT. And that crosses over into the Riddle stuff as well. If they are going to integrate, because these are the two shows that are both on USA, and I shouldn't have to think about things like this because everything that I watch is on Sportsnet, so what network it's on in the States doesn't affect me at all. But I can see USA saying to them, look, NXT's not getting the numbers. Hey, I used to be the NXT guy. I'll admit NXT's not getting the numbers. Why don't we use this juggernaut of a show that's 3 hours that everybody hates, but people still watch, to try and draw some attention over to the other show? So they've done it with this. They've done it with the Riddle and MSK, which we're going to talk about in a second as well. It's a really interesting match because it looks like at the same time they're slowly turning AJ face. AJ looked really face on Raw this week, and again I have to say I'm recording this on the 28th, so I'm talking about the Raw that happened on the 27th. I don't know what's going to happen. The Raw after day one. I'm gonna have to keep saying that, keep the time travel straight. But he's getting babyface reactions. Like who's going to cheer Omos over AJ Styles, and who's going to cheer AJ Styles in NXT because, you know, he's going up against the Ultimate Baddie, and then boo him on Raw because it's two different characters doing two different things. And AJ Styles, I like him on NXT the other week, just coming in as the veteran, being like, look kid, don't kick a hornet's nest type thing. AJ Styles, because he's not in the main event scene, and because I think he said a while ago he doesn't want to be the world champion because he doesn't want that type of weight on his shoulders. Because he's not in the main event scene, I do think he goes under everybody's radar. Like, people talk about AJ Styles and Omos, but it's just a fun thing. Oh, isn't that a fun, interesting couple? WWE did another odd couple. Isn't that neat? They can go up against the other odd couple with Randy Orton and Riddle, which ties back to the MSK thing. But I think it's going to be a match at some point, and that's the most redundant prediction ever. If it takes place at New Year's Evil, then I'm predicting AJ Styles to win. If it takes place anywhere else, like if something happens, if something happens on the day one show and they end up having a match right then and there, and then the rematch happens at New Year's Evil, then maybe Grayson wins. I really don't, it's really bothering me because I have a buddy named Grayson who I just saw like a week ago because we went to see Spider-Man. Spider-Man's really good. Go check it out. So every time I talk about Waller, I think I'm talking about my buddy Grayson there for a second. So shout out to Gray. Good job, buddy. But yeah, I really don't. Ultimately, whatever the end of this is, should be Grayson Waller going over and going over in a really heely way, because he's the guy that sent Gargano out of the company. Now, here's the problem. You got a bunch of core people, and this is a theme that permeates sort of throughout the card, so I'm gonna hit on this point more than once. You've got all these people that you want to get over, either as faces or as heels. They got Grayson Waller, they got Von Wagner, they've got Braun Breaker, they've got Carmelo Hayes, they've got all these people that they want you to get invested in because these are the guys that represent the new NXT. But you're playing out the stories that these people we want you to get into now are kayfabe responsible for the people that you liked on this brand, for the people that made this brand what it was, not being here anymore. Grayson Waller taking out Gargano, Von Wagner taking out Kyle O'Reilly. When we get into the championship unification match, we can talk about that as well. And obviously the changing of the guard that we know is coming sooner or later is going to come sooner or later. So I don't think while you're presenting this new NXT, constantly slapping the people in the face that liked the old NXT is the way to go. Because people were invested. Now, it was a small, condensed group. Take it from me. I was the diehard black and gold guy, and I know how small this was not Roman Reigns' island of relevancy. This was the shrinking island of black and gold, real good NXT fans. But the fans that they had were rabid fans, were into it fans, were like the sort of the cult classic type of fans, and those were the fans excuse me, those are the fans that you could eventually ramp up to get people going. Putting on a show that's just like, that was funny, that was good, that was entertaining, that guy's goofy, it's a way to kill 2 hours. It's not a wrestling show. When they changed over NXT to NXT 2.0, my gut reaction, I told you guys a long time ago, was I enjoy stupid shit. Don't get me wrong. The fact that I don't review NXT anymore, and I'm going to get into that in another video as well. The fact that I don't review NXT anymore doesn't mean I'm not watching it. I watch it every week. I am a crippled creature of habit. But old NXT was, you got to the 2 hour and 1 minute mark and you couldn't wait to talk about it. And this NXT, it's fun. It is what it is. Let's see what they give us this week. And at the 2 hour and 1 minute mark, it's like, okay, switch off. What am I doing next? That's the difference. That's the Raw effect. That, to a certain extent, is the SmackDown effect. That is what WWE is going up against in AEW. Because AEW, as much as there is stuff on there that I can't stand, they do make you want to talk. Now, mostly that's because they've stolen talent and now entire factions from WWE, but we don't need to get into that right now. Here's where Guapo secretly hacks into the chat to tell me I'm an idiot, but that's fine, that's cool, we love Guapo, we'll get him back on here soon. Why am I beeping? Why is this a thing? But yeah, the AJ Styles thing and Grayson Waller it's a good thing for Grayson Waller, but it's a better thing for NXT as a whole, and I've been talking about it for 11 minutes now, so I think I've driven that point into the ground. Finn Balor did it. Ember Moon did it to a much lesser extent to their mid-card division because they misused the hell out of her. AJ Styles could do it. Charlotte Flair did it, whether you want to admit it or not. You take a name that more people know, more people are going to go see what that name is doing. I watched CM Punk's first MMA fight. I do not give a rat lizard fuck about UFC. But I will follow CM Punk because he's a guy that earned my following, he earned my interest, he went over here. So you bring AJ Styles, who still has a following, even though WWE doesn't use him. It is a good thing. The match is going to be great. I'm really, really interested in how the match is going to be whenever the match is. I'm not going to lie, tonight I thought they were going to confirm the match for New Year's Eve, because that would have been a selling point. Excuse me. So what we do have, for sure, was what I thought was going to be a tag team championship match for the NXT Tag Team Championships, obviously. We don't have a women's tag team title match, and the women's tag team champions were pulled from tonight's show, so I really do hope that that's not part of the COVID thing. I want to send, like I say, positive wishes to anybody out there that's dealing with the COVID shit. I mean, I'm complaining about the lockdowns, but obviously I have more sympathy for the people that are actually sick. Let me be clear about that. But also it means we don't have any women's tag team title match, because as we go later on, I thought we had contenders for those, and we have done, once again, we did a video package on the 4 other teams that want a shot at Imperium. They did Brooks and Jensen, the Creed brothers, oh, my brain's gonna break now, Grizzled Young Veterans, and Jacket Time. I like Jacket Time. Jacket Time is a good time. But the ones that have been gone forever and haven't wrestled a match since, I believe, Halloween Havoc are MSK, Nash Carter, Wesley, who now have their shaman as Riddle. And here's your second crossover with Monday Night Raw, which, again, people like Riddle. I mean, here's the thing with Riddle as well, that AJ Styles can't say, is Riddle will bring 2 different conversations. The people that like him, people that acknowledge that he's a fantastic fucking wrestler and he's a funny dude, will follow him and be like, hey, I like that guy, let's see what he's doing, he's going back to NXT for a bit. And the people that don't like him will still keep a conversation going, oh my god, I don't believe they're featuring him on 2 shows, because that's what SJWs do. Hey, we don't have any Joe Gacy on this show, but whatever. MSK are the ones that came out to directly challenge Fabian Eichner and Marcel Barthel to get their titles back, and I really thought that this was going to be cut and dry. This was going to be a rematch from Halloween Havoc. It was going to be MSK, the 2 characters out of everybody on the show, other than Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter, that you would think are handmade for this new unicorn, rainbow farts, fever dream NXT. You would think they would plaster those belts on MSK. But Imperium sort of said the right thing in this case. Here's a video package on all these four. I mean, they didn't put the video package together, but hey, we just saw a video package on all these other four teams that have been kicking the shit out of each other the past couple of weeks. You guys have been getting high with Riddle, and you walk back in and you want a title match. So the answer is no. And then Walter, which is great, because then I get to make Michael Hamflett jokes. He comes in on the Tron, and I thought he was, from the UK. He was just, boosting up his boys, and, my boys are not afraid of you. We will defend the titles next week. And then what's great about this is the direct message from Walter gets interrupted by Riddle, and now it's sort of a Zoom call on the Titantron. And what we have instead, excuse me, is infinitely more interesting to me, is all three members of Imperium taking on MSK and Riddle, which means at some point, Imperium, who are boring, the two other members of Imperium that are not Walter, are going to be elevated up to entertaining, because that's what happens when their leader is there, and that's what happens when they're with entertaining opponents. So my criticisms of them is going to disappear. We're going to see Walter, who's a fucking monster. We're going to see Riddle competing in NXT again, which is a nostalgia thing, and we're going to see MSK, who are made for this brand. But secretly, I really want there to be a stare-down moment between Riddle and Walter that perpetuates itself forward to the end of the month, because I want a stare-down between Riddle and Walter in the middle of the Rumble. I really do, because it's not out of the blue. It's not, oh my god, they pulled everything out of a hat. Every year we talk about, which MSK guy, which NXT guys made a cameo appearance in the Royal Rumble. And I always think that's hysterical, because people that don't like NXT for whatever reason will try to say that it's a bad thing. Well, it's very confusing, we don't know whether they're coming up or whether they're, they're just representing NXT. And it's like, how is either one of those bad? We got the title, the women's title at least, involved in WrestleMania. How does that not get NXT more experience on the grandest stage that the biggest wrestling company in the world has? You can't pick that apart. I'm sorry. I do think, because Imperium is the long-standing unit, and because they only have Walter there sometimes, and because the more fun, more exuberant, more readily available, more NXT 2.0-ish act is Riddle and MSK. Riddle and MSK are going to get the win. Down the line, it's going to get them a title shot. They're going to get the belts back on them, and Riddle's going to be like their shaman bro manager guy, and it's going to lead to some stuff with him and Walter, which is going to be really good. I wouldn't mind. I mean, I haven't watched NXT UK in ages. You guys are going to have to tell me what it is. But imagine if they sent Riddle over to the UK. Like, he loses his belt with... he's eventually going to split up with Randy Orton. They're going to lose their belts. They're going to split up. They're going to have a match at WrestleMania. That's all but confirmed already. After WrestleMania, if he wants to, if he's conducive to the idea, send Riddle over to NXT UK, and because he can do, like, he's got the martial arts MMA background to go with some of the British strong style guys over there. That wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. That would actually make me watch again, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, bottom line, again, really got to the bottom of that bucket. I do think Riddle and his boys are going to get the win. You're going to get some ridiculous spot from Walter. Walter's probably going to kill Riddle, because the spotlight is on MSK. Riddle is there to help put the spotlight on MSK, but the spotlight is on MSK. So if there's going to be a massive bump, a massive pratfall, a massive stunt, shall we say, Riddle will eat that, and he'll eat that from Walter, and it'll probably be comedically violent. I really like that. Know what I don't like? And this is even shittier because it's two wrestlers that I really do like. I don't like the death of the Cruiserweight Championship. The unification match between Cruiserweight Champion Roderick Strong, representing the Diamond Mine, obviously, and Carmelo Hayes, North American Champion. Now, they said in the contract signing tonight, what's his name? Wade Barrett said, as he was leaving the ring, as the guys were about to go at it, he said, we're going to have this unification match next Tuesday, and the winner will go on to be the North American Champion. And it's like, all right, so we're going to do a WCW throw the title in the bin thing. I mean, that sucks, because NXT, real good, proper black and gold NXT made that title actually awesome. You had the guys like Leo Rush, Angel Garza, Johnny Gargano in the Cruiserweight Classic, Tommaso Ciampa in the Cruiserweight Classic. It's where we got Cedric Alexander from, all this good shit that was happening. I mean, there's no way Carmelo Hayes isn't winning this. Before NXT became what it is now, in Black and Gold NXT, you could already tell they were strapping a rocket to Carmelo Hayes, and they haven't let up on the pedal. I'm going to overdose on the cliches here, as they've changed over to this new NXT. He's one of the ones that they haven't really fucked with too much, other than giving him a heater in Trick Williams. Roderick Strong is very much in that category of your Garganos, your Ciampas, your Kyle O'Reillys. He's gonna be... I don't doubt that he'll stick around for a while, because I think he'll stay around as long as he needs to make sure that they get Diamond Mine on a good footing, because I think they like the idea of Diamond Mine more than they like the idea of Roderick Strong, if that makes sense. So I do think, because he seems to be willing to go in there and still do a proper NXT style match in Ramos and Butterflies, Unicorn Farts NXT. So he already doesn't fit. And I say that in the most respectful way possible. Like, I don't want him to fit in what this is. But I think he's not... I don't think he'll leave. I don't have any background knowledge. You guys know this. I'm not a news guy. Go... I don't know. Go follow What Culture. Go follow Good Mic Work. Go follow Joe Cronin. Go follow Simon Miller. If you want, like, news stuff. I don't know what anybody's contract status is. But if I had to guess, I think the Cruiserweight Championship going in the bin... and Roderick Strong walking away with nothing is not the thing that's going to kick him out the door, but it's going to be the first domino to him slowly being not a thing. So that, the Undisputed Elite can go to being all 4 members of the Undisputed Elite. It sucks in a way, because... It sucks because I know when he gets over there, if he goes over there, I'm going to like it, but it sucks that you have to take from here to go from there. It's like, okay, here, you're in front of a knife-wielding maniac in the middle of the street during a peaceful protest, and he says you can only keep one of your arms. Well, I'd rather keep both. I'd rather have some cool shit over here, some cool shit over here, but if all the cool shit is going to go over here, then I'll have one arm with 2 hands, and I'll have a stump on the other side. That's me being really tired and not feeling well and having a really, really shitty metaphor. Spaz with 1 arm is the metaphor for Roderick Strong eventually leaving NXT, but... It does give Carmelo Hayes a hell of a rub. Not only does he get a win over a really, really legit guy like Roderick Strong, it doesn't feel forced because Carmelo Hayes is great. His second match in the company was against Adam Cole. So the entire Undisputed Era is slowly putting this guy over on their way out the door, which goes back to my metaphor from earlier. Obviously, I mean... To a certain degree, belts are just props, but having the unification of 2 titles under your resume is always a pretty cool thing. I'm not too bummed about it from the Carmelo Hayes point of view, because Carmelo Hayes is one of the guys that I do like in this brand new version of NXT that's not just from oh, that's funny, oh, that's a caricature, oh, that's a cartoon point of view. So I do want all the best for him. So him winning doesn't break my heart, but Roderick Strong losing does, and you can't have one without the other. And I sound really depressed now, don't I? What doesn't depress me is the women's division still sort of goes strong. They threw up a red herring this week in this week's episode of NXT. They were going to swap out both members of the triple threat match for Mandy Rose's championship because Toxic Attraction wasn't available this week, and they were supposed to take on Raquel and Cora Jade. Mandy Rose said, well, why don't you guys face, who was it? Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray, and the winning team can be the 2 people in the triple threat. And I was really, really, really worried that they were going to WWE it, and there was going to be a no contest, and it was going to be a 5-person match. And I'm like, my preview then would have been, cool, it's going to be a pile of people match. Here's the thing, though. Cora Jade's the brand new kid on the block. I really like Cora Jade, which will come as a surprise to absolutely nobody. Raquel Gonzalez feels like old NXT, so I have a very hard time getting behind her in the sense of I don't think they care about anybody that represents old NXT, which is a bit of a spoiler for the next match. Mandy Rose came initially from Black and Gold NXT and returned to this NXT, got herself a faction, got herself up to the top of the roster, and I'm all for it, not only because Mandy Rose is fucking hot, yes she is, let's not pretend that that's not a thing, but also because from her first run in NXT, she got the, she's just only here because Vince likes white blondes and da-da-da-da-da, people making all those statements and pretending they aren't racist. She's never, and I said this at the time when her and Sonya Deville were a pairing, those 2 never got the credit that they deserve, and to be fair, it was partially understandable because NXT and WWE criminally shortchanged them on time. I saw them at NXT house shows going like 20, 30 minutes, and it was fucking fantastic. Now look at what they're doing. They're sacrificing Sonya Deville to the Naomi agenda, and they're probably gonna take down Mandy Rose. I don't know if her sidekicks aren't available, if the COVID thing is a thing and she's just there on her own. I think it might be a case of Raquel Gonzalez hits the big bomb and Cora Jade manages to sneak in a victory, and she becomes the women's division's harbinger of this is the 2.0 era. Very much like I think MSK will for the tag division. And I don't have very much more to say. We've dodged the bullet twice. Tommaso Ciampa, Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker's leaving with that championship, and I don't know what is going to happen with Tommaso Ciampa after that. I really don't. As I say, once again, it's I've skipped through a bunch of matches there. Mandy Rose dropping the title to Cora Jade doesn't hurt my feelings at all. I hope they keep Mandy Rose and her faction strong, because if she's got a faction and she can tell some stories with that, and Cora Jade's got a title and she can tell some stories with that, they can go in their separate directions and come back again. I'm moving my hands around as if you guys are going to see me, even though I know full well that this is only going to be an audio episode, so I don't know. It's the tired effect. But Cora Jade is very much like Carmelo Hayes. I have no problem with them winning. I just have a problem with the fact that other people that I really like and have liked for longer have to lose for us to get there. And Braun Breaker's going to beat Tommaso Ciampa because he's the 2.0 hood ornament. I really don't have anything else to say other than that. But other than to go back to my initial story that I said before, like, here's all these brand new people that you want us to get involved in. You want us to believe that Grayson Waller beat the shit out of Johnny Gargano and he left NXT. You want us to believe that Von Wagner, who's got heart, beat the heart out of Kyle O'Reilly, and that's why he's not there anymore. You want us to believe that Carmelo Hayes, who's this great champion all on his own, didn't really need anything else, is carving his own path pretty good without the Roderick Strong thing, is the reason Roderick Strong might be on his way out the door, because that's just what now we are trained to think. We're going to strip anything away from the guys that might not be here very much longer, and the cap of that is Braun Breaker taking the golden balls off of Tommaso Ciampa. And I don't know, Braun Breaker is one of those guys that he's got a really weird energy, and he's entertaining until the bell rings. Like, I would rather... People are comparing him to Brock Lesnar, right? Sorry, my thoughts are kind of all over the place, but it is what it is. I love Brock Lesnar more when whoever he's facing next is in the ring cutting a promo like the week before WrestleMania, and he comes in, destroys them, wrecks the ring, screams a bunch, does like the Billy Goat screech or whatever the fuck we all make fun of, and go. Then just by the time you get to the match, it's just going to be more of that. And with Braun Breaker, they can't, even though they wouldn't let him keep his name, they wouldn't even let him keep a version of his name, they can't help but stick in all the Steiner puns. And it's painful, because back in the day, and yes, I know, we're not supposed to speak positively about Charlotte because she's white and blonde. I get it. YouTube gods, I'm sorry. Please forgive me this one discretion. Charlotte went from being Charlotte to being Charlotte Flair to being Charlotte to being Charlotte Flair. Most of her career, her entire shtick, her entrance is a remix of the Flair entrance. The figure 4 is an upgraded figure 8, because history does mean something. Look at Cody Rhodes. As much as I can't stand the guy, and all his shtick is go out there, cry, bleed, and remind everybody who your daddy is, some people absorb that like it's legit, like he's genuine in anything he says. Same thing could happen here. So why would you shove it away, hide away any actual name that has anything to do with the Steiners, but yet leave the puns there for whoever he's facing to throw it? It's really, it's a barrier. It's a full barricade for me getting into who Braun Breaker is as a character, especially when he's facing, in my opinion, one of the best NXT champions in the history of that brand. I won't say the best. I will not say the best, because that's a pretty hard, it's a pretty hard name to carve in the concrete. But Tommaso Ciampa has got to be top 3, and him losing that title is going to be the last brick in the pyramid before everything all comes down, and all we have left is, I don't know, I don't even know. Well, I've run out of ways to refer to this new NXT, the rainbows and butterflies and unicorn farts and fever dreams, and fill in whatever you call this new version of NXT. I know the guys in What Culture do the NXT 2.0. Everybody's come up with a funny way to make fun of this show or give it a name slightly other than just calling it NXT, because we all know what WWE doesn't really want us to know, what WWE doesn't want to acknowledge, is that this isn't NXT. This is 2.0, and you stole a couple of other letters. Like, you could have done this with 205 Live and left NXT alone. You could have turned 205 Live into just a show called 2.0. It could have been, extra shit that didn't make it onto NXT, and they could have had some comedy. It could have been like a kids show like they did with WWE Kids a couple years ago. But this ain't it. I've said it for the past 3 shows now. I said it at Halloween Havoc. I said it at War Games, don't call it Takeover. And I'm saying it now. This is the final passing of the torch, and anything we knew from the old NXT is going to be gone. The upside of that is, in the process, we are going to get some kick-ass matches. I'm predicting the unification match between the Cruiserweight and North American Championships is going to be the match of the night, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings if it went on last. Yeah, talk about that in the comment section. Anyways, I got no voice. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.